Hi, I'm Dr. Tam Cummings and I'm a gerontologist who specializes in dementia. In dementia, we use a 7-stage tool to follow the global deterioration of the brain. You can access the Dementia Behavioral Assessment tool by going to WellMed's website. Stage 1 is you and me, not because we think we're going to get dementia, but because every staging tool must have a baseline of normal, and you and I are aging normally. We know who we are, where we are, and why we are. Stage 2 is called mild cognitive impairment, meaning that there are beginning to be glitches, slip-ups, hiccups in the person's memory, but they very quickly recover from them. Now, when you read the behaviors that are listed under stage 2 of the disease, for many of you, your first thought is going to be, oh man, I've got it too. One by one, the behaviors that you see listed for stage 2 are just normal human function. If you've walked in a room and don't remember what you went in there for, that is not dementia, that is normal brain function. If you're a grandparent and to call your grandchild's name, you've got to name every single grandchild you have before you can pull that name out, that is not dementia, it's normal brain function. If you forget where you put your cell phone, you need to remember cell phones were going to make our lives easier, and they had the opposite effect. You and I both know that if you go to the store now without your cell phone and don't alert your children will alert Texas, and the silver amber alert will be put out. Stage 2's events by themselves, one by one, are simply normal brain function. It is only that when we begin to see clusters of them together that we begin to realize that this is actually a disease process. Stage 2 is very subtle, and it requires a skilled clinician to make the diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment. Stage 3 is where the word dementia is used for the first time, and frequently this is where the spouse notices that something's wrong. And because you're a good, loving, caring spouse, you offered to show your loved one what they were doing wrong. You pointed out to them where their cognition was beginning to slip, how they were making mistakes in the normal things that they would do. And then they chopped your head off and handed it back to you on a silver platter, and so you didn't bring this up anymore. Stage 4 is called moderate dementia. And for most of you, moderate dementia is when your children and your friends notice that something's wrong. And if you live in an urban area, there's a very good chance you are suffering from what is called urban isolationism. For reasons that we don't yet understand, when friends and neighbors and family realize that something is wrong with your loved one, you stop having friends and families and neighbors. Very quickly, the family caregiver becomes isolated in care, and they are home alone with a person with dementia for 24 hours a day without anyone there to give them respite or help them. Stage 4 is when your person begins to have trouble drawing inferences. And inferences are things like, I came in and you have an umbrella and the umbrella is wet, therefore I infer that it must be raining outside. Stage 4 is when trouble with stories begins to really be noticeable. Your loved one is now mixing up different types of stories as they're relating these events to another person. Because you're the family member, you know that these stories aren't correct, and it may seem to you like they're doing this in a very annoying fashion, or that they're doing this just to annoy you. And what you're actually witnessing is what is called confabulation. When the brain finds an empty piece in a file, it goes to another file and pulls over that information to try to fill in the hole. Your person's not actually lying. Lying takes a 3-pound brain, and in stage 4 of the disease, it's estimated your person has already lost 3 to 4 ounces of brain tissue. Stages 5, 6, and 7 are called the late stages of the terminal stages because this is where death occurs. Stage 5 is moderately severe dementia, and in stage 5, in the beginning, your loved one has lost an estimated ½ pound of their brain tissue. They have the equivalency in the beginning of stage 5 from a 12-year-old to an 8-year-old. In the latter part of stage 5, as the decline continues, your person goes from an 8-year-old to a 4-year-old. If you finish the day thinking, I have been taking care of an 80-year-old, 4-year-old, then your person is late in stage 5. Stage 5 people still don't look sick, especially in the beginning part of stage 5. They are beginning to have accidents with their bladder, but those accidents happen over time. It's not that they suddenly wake up one morning and are incontinent. It's actually over several months that process begins as brain damage continues. Stage 5 is where they begin to get you confused with who you actually are. Stage 5 is when they begin to have moments where they will tell you, I just wish I could die. And you and I take that statement and take it very, very seriously. But for them, it's a fleeting moment, and then it's gone again. In stage 5, people with Alzheimer's dementia will tell you that they know they should know this information, but when they go to their brain to look for it, the information isn't there anymore. A person with Parkinson's or Lewy body will tell you they know they have the information, they can see and feel the information in their brain, but they can't get it to connect to come out through their mouth. So 2 completely different descriptions from people in stage 5 of what their brain feels like to them. Stage 6 of the disease is when the person finally looks sick. People in stage 6 of the disease are having trouble moving, and they have gone from carrying themselves erect to being very stooped over. They have gone from ambulating and lifting their feet clearly as they move to shuffling. Stage 6 is where the term 36-hour day comes from, because this person can stay awake and in motion for 36 hours or more. And you and I can't do that. If we don't stop and go to bed every 12 or 14 hours, we can't function. One of the things that leads to early caregiver death is not only urban isolationism, but it's also trying to keep up with a person who, because of their brain damage, can stay awake and in motion for much, much longer than you and I can. Stage 7 of the disease is the bedbound stage. Most of your loved ones will not live to the bedbound stage, and when they do become bedbound, it's only in the few weeks prior to their final death. There are 7 stages. You and I are stage 1. Stage 2 is mild cognitive impairment. Stage 3 is the beginning of dementia. Stage 4 is moderate dementia. Stage 5 is moderately severe. Stage 6 is severe dementia. And stage 7 is called very severe dementia. Most people will die of heart attack or stroke in stage 5 of the disease. And if you're thinking, I wish that could happen to my loved one, doesn't make you a bad human. Just makes you human. Every family thinks the very same thing. These are cruel diseases that destroy your loved one. And if your loved one does die tonight, you didn't make that happen because you don't have that kind of power. When you get your staging tool, start in stage 3. Check off every behavior that you see. And understand that I grade harder than you do, because for me this is clinical and for you this is personal. Understand that I am typically a half a stage in front of you, because I'm not looking at how the person used to be, I'm looking at how the person is right now. When you do your tool, mark all the behaviors that you recognize. You're not going to click on every behavior. Some of the behaviors are to tell us this could be frontal temporal dementia. Some of the behaviors are to tell us this could be Lewy body's dementia. You're not going to check off everything. Some people sundown from stage 3 forward. Some people will never sundown. Every person has their own unique presentation. But as you go through the tool, start in 3, check off everything you can see. When you finish checking, draw a line and date it. Do not look at this tool every day. It will start to make you crazy and you'll start to see your behaviors in it. Instead, set your alarm and come back every 2 months to recheck your tool. There is no going backwards up the tool, there is only going forwards down the tool. Every 2 months will give you an idea of how quickly your loved one is progressing, and that will help you to plan financially for care and emotionally for care.